Hey, welcome back. In today's class, we're going to be drilling some of the techniques that we learned in the last class. So today is going to be a lot more repetition rather than just kind of learning the new techniques. We're going to be working on them a little bit more today. But first thing we have to do is warm up because it's still a little bit cold in here for me. So one of my favorites, jumping jacks, and go. Make sure you are doing these along with me. If you want, and you've already warmed up, you can skip past the warm-up part and go into the drilling part. That's fine. But if you have not warmed up, make sure you do so. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath. Nice and relaxed motions. From here, we're gonna keep moving our arms the same way, but now we're going to cross our legs. So I'm gonna put my left leg in front one time, and then my right leg in front the next. Keep this going. All right, now hands back up to our face. We're going to have our left foot in front, and we're gonna extend our right arm out in front of us and switch. Nice and light, I'm balancing here, not putting any power. My hands aren't even closed. Everything's loose. Keep your breathing. Don't hold your breath. Don't get out of breath. All right, now we're gonna do some hip openers. So we're gonna bring our leg across and open it up. Open it up. As high as you can with that knee. And just kind of swing it. We're gonna keep our toes pointed outwards as we do this, right? Don't point them inwards. You don't get as much of that opening stretch. This warms up your hip flexors by raising your legs. And it'll help get a little bit of a stretch. Not too much, is more warm up than anything though. All right, now we're gonna go the opposite direction. Open to close, open to close. Bring it back and out, back and out. Keep it going. Now, I'm adding a little bit of a switch step here, just something I want to do. You don't have to do that though. We'll get into those later on. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's go ahead and raise that back heel up. Let's stretch those hip flexors out, kind of bouncing down. Again, nice slow bounces when you're doing this. I don't want to go super fast. If you go really fast, it's called a ballistic stretch. And especially if you're cold, that's where you're gonna start ripping some muscles. And that's not what we wanna do here. We just want to pull them, extend them, and get them warmed up. And our other side. Keep it going. Feel that stretch right here in the front of the hip. All right, now let's go ahead and let's drop down. Now what I want you to do here is I want you to place the hand close to the straight leg, fingers pointed back towards your knee. And the other hand, same way, fingers pointed back towards your knee. I want you to open up. So you're gonna open up by pushing your elbows out and pushing this back knee that direction so that your knees are being pointed apart. From here, lean forward a little bit and you can relax it and open it up again. Relax it and open it up again. Let's do a few of these. And then let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Same thing. Wedging that hand in there right above my knee. Other one's pointed back here, and I'm using my elbows to open my knees up. Keep this going. Now from here, hands are on the ground. We're gonna go from one side to the other side. Get a little bit of that hamstring stretch. Your weight can be in your hands, right? I don't want this to feel like it's a super workout for your legs. Just switch from one side to the other side. hip twist. So when you're doing this, I want you to try to keep your feet down on the ground, heels down on the ground. Twist your hips, try to point your belt to one side, and then try to point it to the other side. And keeping the heel down. We're not turning the heel at this point. Here and here. Nice and relaxed. All right, now let's shake it out a little bit. Kick your legs. Bouncing. Shake that out, kick them out. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to practice those stances that we learned. Remember, we learned 4 stances in the last class, so a quick review of those. Chariot is our attention stance. Junbei, hands come up, breathe in and out as that heel touches the ground. And we've got our fighting stance, which is gonna be more squared, and the knot in my belt is pointed mostly forward, maybe a little bit off to the side. And then we have our sparring stance. The knot in my belt is 45 to 90 degrees. My chest is off to the side, and my feet are on one line, and I'm bladed off just like this, right? So we're going to be transitioning from each of those stances. First one, chariot, Junbei. Breathe in, exhale, down. And remember, one fist in between the hands, and one fist away from our belt, right, as we're here. Chariot, Junbei. Chariot. We're gonna do this 10 times. Junbei. Chariot. Junbei. Chariot. Junbei. Chariot. Junbei. Attention stance to our ready stance. Make sure you breathe in and out on each one of those. Chariot. Junbei. Okay, I think we got 2 more. Wasn't quite counting. Chariot. I'm gonna try to get 10. Junbei. Remember that heel touches the ground as my hands finish their motion. Chariot. Last one. Junbei. All right, so the next one that we're gonna do is we're gonna go from our ready stance or our Junbei stance, and we're gonna move to our fighting stance. So what we're gonna do is our hands are gonna come up to our face, and we're gonna step back with our dominant leg. So it's probably gonna be your right leg for most people. And if it's not, well, you can step back with the other leg, but try to step back with actually whichever side is your dominant hand side. And the reason why we have this for a fighting stance is so that we can throw better punches. So if you are left hand dominant, but you're still right leg dominant, you should step back with your left leg if you're left hand dominant, okay? Ready stance, fighting stance. What? Ready stance, fighting stance. Make sure your weight's not too far forward or too far backwards. Ready stance, fighting stance. 3. Ready, fighting. Ready, fighting. Ready, fighting. Ready, fighting. Make sure those hands are up around your cheekbones or around your eyebrows. Ready, fighting. The back knee is still angled forward. Ready stance, fighting stance. Angled forward, not off to that side. 2 more. Ready, fighting. Ready, fighting. All right, so one more thing about this. I don't want your elbows out and away from you, like this. See all that space here? If we have this space here, then we're using a lot of our shoulder muscles just to hold our hands up, and then they're gonna get tired and tired and tired, and they're gonna go down. So what I prefer you to do is actually squeeze them in a little bit and rest them here, which for me keeps my hands right around my cheekbones, but I'm not extending this out. Sometimes they'll float out, right? Our hands are gonna be moving a lot, but I don't want them being held up, especially at this parallel to the ground. You're just gonna be wearing out your shoulders, so don't try doing that. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go from our attention stance to our ready stance to our sparring stance. So, drip, Junbei, sparring stance. Right. So now we're in that straight line. One is across our chest and protecting, and our other one is about knuckles to our shoulder height. Trip, Junbei, heel touches at the same time, fighting stance. trip, junbe, fighting stance, trip, junbe, fighting stance, trip, junbe, fighting stance, trip, junbe, fighting stance, trip, junbe, fighting stance. And now I'm going just into the stance. Remember this stance, or sparring stance, excuse me. I think I've been saying fighting stance. This stance is going to be a lot more motion. For now, I'm just going to go into the static stance, but it will be more of a dynamic stance when we're actually sparring. Trip, junbe, sparring stance. Trip, junbe, sparring stance. All right, so now we're going to go from our fighting stance to our sparring stance and back to our fighting stance. So start off in your fighting stance, right? You can be kind of moving around if you'd like, and then sparring stance, fighting stance, sparring stance, fighting stance, right? And I want you to practice being able to go through these so that you can pick one or the other depending on what's necessary for you, right? Fighting stance, sparring stance. So notice now I'm a little bit more dynamic in my movement. Fighting stance, sparring stance, fighting stance. I can move around. My hands are staying up, but my elbows are down. I'm not tensing my shoulders. Sparring stance, fighting stance, sparring stance, fighting stance. My knees are always a little bit bent. I don't want them straight. I'm not standing like this with straight legs. Sparring stance, fighting stance. Move around. Notice I like to open my hands up depending on what's going on, right? I don't always have to have these closed fists. You can have nice open hands, especially in my fighting stance. Sparring stance, I want more closed, right? I might be able to see through my hands, but I do want them wrapped because there's more chance of me having to block a kick, and I don't want to block a kick with open fingers. Fighting stance. Here, I'm gonna be blocking punches, I might be grabbing, might do a lot of other things. It requires a little bit more hand dexterity as opposed to my sparring stance, which is predominantly gonna be for TaeKwonDo kicking. All right, take a breath in and out. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna cover our straight knees. All right, so we did this last time. We're here. You can do this from a fighting stance, or you can do it from a sparring stance. I'm probably gonna do most of mine from more of a fighting stance. And then I'm gonna raise this back knee up, starting to flex at the knee, and I'm gonna drive my hips forward as I turn my hands. Now, I might turn my hands, turn the steering wheel towards that knee, or sometimes I will extend out that same side as my knee, and then I'm bringing my other hand up, protecting my face. There's a few different reasons why I might do this. If I'm turning the steering wheel, it might be that I'm grabbing and driving that knee forward, right? So I'm pulling my opponent back to me as I do that. So that's one reason for the turning the steering wheel. The other might be that I'm throwing something up into their face so that they can't see as I'm blocking here, because they're probably gonna punch me at the same time. So they don't see the knee because there's something in their face that ideally gets them to close their eyes, and then boom, they got hit with the knee. So they're expecting something up high, and then they got hit a little bit lower. All right, so we're going to do 25 of these on each leg. Ready? Fighting stance. And 1. Drive that knee forward. 2. If you need to, you can set it down in front and then move back, or you can bring it back. If you're doing this with a lot of power, it's very difficult to actually bring it back, right? But just for practice, if you need to, or if you'd like to, you can bring it right back. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Notice how I'm kind of moving around in between each one of those. 9. I don't want to stay too static. I can, If you're right now just trying to practice and get it down, that's fine. 10. You can do these all from the same spot. Now I rotate that foot about 30 degrees. 11. Each time I do this, it'll help open up that hip and drive it a little bit more forward. 12. Exhale on each one as you're doing the knee. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. And 25. Take a breath in, bend down. All right, so now we're gonna do it on the other side. But here's one of the things that I'm gonna have you do. I'm actually gonna have you do a switch knee instead of just doing a non-dominant side knee from the back. So what that's gonna look like is we're gonna be here in our fighting stance. I'm going to just lightly switch my feet. Now when I do this, it's not quite a full TaeKwonDo switch or sparring stance switch, right? My chest isn't changing directions. My chest is actually gonna stay in the same direction. Even if my chest is slightly pointed that way, I'm gonna keep my chest slightly pointed that way. The idea is that if somebody's only looking at the top half of you, you should be able to switch this and then not be able to see it easily. And obviously they'll see a little bit of movement, but they shouldn't easily be able to recognize it. So I don't wanna go here or make these big motions, it's just quick, right? And then I'm gonna throw that knee. So this side, I'm gonna switch and then drive that lead knee, and I'm gonna set it right down in front every time, so I'm already back into my dominant side fighting stance. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You need to just stay in one spot. Switch knee. 13. Try to get above your belt level. You want to aim for those ribs where we can pull down the head and hit the head. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. Noticed on that one, probably weren't noticing, but I just took a step instead of doing a switch. That's also fine. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. And take a breath in. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do half of a front kick. Right? We learned front kicks last time. Why can't we just do the whole thing? Well, this is gonna be working on balance. So what we're gonna do for the half of the front kick is I'm going to turn this foot as I raise my knee up, and I'm gonna hold it, and then I'm gonna bring it back. So we're gonna try to hold it for 3 seconds on each side. Right? So let's do this one. Let's do this one from a sparring stance. Right? So I'm here, my body is bladed off, my heels are in the same line. I'm gonna bring this knee up, and look, I pivoted about 30 to 45 degrees. Hold it for my 3 seconds. 3, not 30. And bring it back. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and back. Notice I pivoted that back so that my feet are towards the front again. 2, and back. 3, hold it up as high as you can. and back. 4, pivot that foot, and back. 5, and back. 6, and back. 7, and back. 8, and back. 9, and back. 10, and back. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing on our other side. Ready? 1, and back. 2, ooh, I started losing my balance, and back. 3, and back. 4, and back. Sparring stance. 5, and back. 6, and back. 7, and back. 8, and back. 9, and back. 10, and back. Take a breath in and out. So now we're gonna do the full front snap kick. All right, remember, front snap kick, not a front kick. Kicking with the top of the foot with our toes pointed. This is a good one for the groin or the body or head of a bent over opponent. I'm not going to be kicking a front snap kick here. Maybe I can, but it's not a very good one, right? I would want to do a front kick if they're standing up and I'm not kicking them to the groin. We'll get to the difference in that later. Just keep that in mind. These are the targeting areas for this specific kick. So with this, we're going to do 25 on each side. Now, one of the big mistakes that everyone makes is they kick, boom, and then after they get full extension of the knee, they bend and bring the knee up even higher. And it creates something that looks kind of like this. This circular looking kick, right? It doesn't look good, not to me at least. So what I want you to do is I want you to squeeze your quad at the top for just a split second, and wherever your full extension's at, that's the highest point that your knee is going to go. Don't allow your knee to go higher than that. It makes for a really sloppy looking kick. Ready? Front snap kick. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this from a sparring stance as well. Make sure that we pivot 30 to 45 degrees on that front foot as we're going for our kick. And 1, 2. Make sure you exhale, breathe out on each one of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now try not to step forward before you do this kick. Just keep that front foot where it is, just pivot. 15, I think that's 15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, exhale on each one, 23, see your target, know where you're kicking, 24, pivot just a little bit, 25, try to keep your back heel on the ground as you're doing those. Switch sides, same thing, other leg, ready? 1. Let me stretch that real quick. If you need to stretch the hamstrings, go ahead and do that real quick. 2, 3. Keep your hands up, don't throw them down. You can throw your elbows back, but I don't want your hands going below your belt. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Take a breath in and out. All right, so the next kick that we're gonna go over is our half roundhouse kick, all right? We're still not doing our full roundhouse kick. Remember, this is still introductory to Taekwondo. So we're only going for our half roundhouse kick. I want you to try to pivot this foot 180 degrees and bring it back. Now, that 180 degrees is a little bit difficult to actually be able to do. It's a training tool. You don't have to pivot 180 degrees to kick somebody with a good roundhouse kick. But if you're able to pivot that at will, you're going to be able to have much better control and do a lot more kicks than just the roundhouse kick. That pivot is the key. That's what we're focusing on here. The other thing that I want you to try to keep in mind is I don't want this big L shape, right? Where we have a lot of hip flexion going on. I want knee, hip, head, all in one straight line instead of bent, okay? Those are the two keys that I want you to focus on at this point. Ready? 25. My count. 1. And try to keep your balance and bring it back. 2. If you lose balance, that's okay, but I want you to try to. 3. Focus on that pivot. Can you get it all the way behind you? If not, how far can you get it? Try to beat that every time. Is that 3? 4. Such a high number, I can't count that high. 5. Okay, we're also bringing our knee up and then turning it around. If you have the option of bringing it just around, it's a little bit slower, right? There's times when we will do that, but currently I want you to focus on bringing it up and pivoting over. We're on 6, 6, 7, and get that counter pivot. 8, 9, 10, 11. Try to get this horizontal. Not quite. This way or that way. 12. 13. 14. 15. Try to keep those hands relatively up. Was that 14? Man, I talk and I just forget things. 15. 16. If you're really having trouble and you're falling, not able to keep your balance, grab something, ideally something like this that can move a little bit, and then work on pivoting and putting your shin horizontal across it and getting that pivot there, and then you can just push off of that, right? So you can bring your shin all the way across and just hold yourself there and then come back. I think we're on 16. 16. 17. 18. Ideally, I would like you to be able to balance though. 19. But we all start somewhere and it's fine if you need an aid. 20. 21. Make sure we're pivoting on the ball of the foot and not on our heel, even on that counter rotation. 22. 23. 24. 25. Take a breath in and out. I'm gonna stretch that hip flexor real quick because that's what I feel tightening up on me. Do what you need to and get ready for the other side. Ready? Switch legs. TaeKwonDo, sparring stance. Working on pivoting 180 degrees, keeping our balance, leg horizontal, no L shape. We got this. Ready? 1. 2. This is my bad side, so you might see me stumble a little bit, and that's fine. 3. 4. 5. Again, if you need to use something. 6. That's fine. 7. 8. 9. 10. Try to keep that shin horizontal. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. Ideally, we keep the other hand close to our face. 18. 19. 20. 5 more. 21. Now, if I'm going a little bit too fast for you, that's okay. Just try to keep going. Sometimes I'll talk and I want you to just try to finish up your repetitions if you need to. 22. 23. 24. 25. Breath in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is we're going to review our blocks. So, we learned 2 blocks last time. Can you recall what they are? If you can, do them real quick. Low block and high block. Cool. All right, so I like to ask you to recall them. If you're able to remember them before I have to say them, that's a good sign. That means your learning is happening. I don't always expect you to be able to recall everything that we did last time. I have everything written down, so I get to cheat. You might not. But if you can remember them, it's going to help you just stick a lot better. So the first thing that we're gonna do is gonna be our low block. So remember, with our low block, we want to make sure that our palm is orientated towards our face. Now, I'll have a closed fist when I do this, but it should be like I can slap myself. You don't want to slap my shoulder when I do this. I want to be on my own face, right here. Close the fist. My other arm might come slightly across, might come slightly up, but it's starting kind of in that Junbei position. It straightens just a little bit, and then I'm gonna go down. And when I get about 3/4 of the way through the movement, I'm going to have this pivot, or this rotation, in the blocking arm and in the non-blocking arm. So we have both of them rotating just like that. And now I want you to be loose. So what I actually want you to do is I want you to be able to see through your binoculars, right? Have that hole in your hand, loose, 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 loose. And then once that rotation happens, that's when I want you to squeeze and take that hole away, right? And then as soon as you're done with that squeeze, you've got your good block, relax again. So it's on that impact where we tighten everything up, and then I relax again. Now make sure that this hand, right, in orientation from the front, should look like it's in front of your hip bone. There should be this little gap here. Sometimes it doesn't show with the dobok as much, but there should be this little bit of a gap here. I don't want this straight arm with an opening. I want that bend, and we're blocking with the ulna bone, that outside forearm bone. All right, so hand on top, 1, and block down, 2. 1, 2. We're doing just the same side. You can mirror me, or you can do with your right hand as well. 1, 2. 1, relax. 2. 1, relax. 2, tense up. Relax. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now pay attention to this arm as I do this. 1, 2. Notice it's completely on my sideline. It's like I'm elbow striking backwards, and it's on my belt. So it's not up here, and it's not here. It's not in front of my body. It's on the side, and it's right on my belt. If you're not wearing a belt, your belt sits right on the top of your hip bone, so you should feel the point of your hip bone onto your side. 1, 2. 1, 2. Same side still. 1, 2. We're repping this out. 1, 2. 1. Palm still towards the face, right? Yeah? Good. 2. 1, 2. Relax. Tense. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Relax. Tense. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right, now we're gonna go 3 and 4. So other side. 3. Palm towards your face, right? Yep, good. 4. Hand on that hip or the belt. 3, 4. 3, 4. Relax. Tense. 3, 4. Good positioning, right? Elbows slightly bent, hands right in front of that hip. There's that gap there. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, relax. See through the binocular. 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Make sure you have that sudden stop when you tense up, right? Don't, and kind of keep this additional movement going. Stop and back. 3, 4. Towards the face. 4. Now let's try not to get lazy and just start putting it down here on our shoulder. Get it all the way up here by our face. 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Good. Now we're gonna do both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're gonna do it on 2 counts for both blocks. So I'm gonna go 1, 2. Okay? So actually each count is just gonna be 1 block. Let's go ahead and we're gonna do 20 of these total. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I'm gonna speed it up, 15, that was 14, right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Breathe in, and out. All right, now we're gonna go and do our high block, right? Remember our high block? Looks like this. So, start off, one hand, it can be facing you, or it can be facing towards the inside. This is our non-blocking hand. Inside's a little bit better. Bring the palm facing up, right towards your elbow, so across your body. This is going to be our blocking hand. Relax the hands. Bring the blocking hand up on the outside of our non-blocking hand. When we get up to right around in front of our face, we're gonna press out and block. So notice this actually comes kind of up and then out, not just straight up. I definitely don't want you going and blocking like this right above your head. Block out, up, and then out about at that 45 degrees up. All right, so same way that we did the last one, we're gonna break down each block into 1 and 2. So one hand goes across, other hand is up, 1, 2, 1, 2. Notice I rotate at the end. My opposite ear is in line with that wrist of the blocking hand, and my ulna bone, the outside forearm bone, is pointed up at a 45-degree angle. 1, 2, 1, 2. I should be able to clearly see in front of me. I'm not blocking my field of view. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Other hand, still here, right on that sideline. It's not up here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, up and out. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 3. Other hand goes across, palm facing upwards. Other hand is up. And 4. Block. 3 and 4. 3 and 4. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. Remember, it comes up and then it comes out. 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. All right, so now we're gonna put them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Other hand still at that belt. 3, 4. Still in that good blocking position. Ulna pointed up and out at 45 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Make sure I still have that sudden stop here. 3, 4. I can kind of flow through my setup into, but I have that stop here. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're gonna do 20. Each one is gonna be 1 count. So, ready? 1, 2, stop, pause for a second, and then move to the setup. 3, that's when that tension hits, and then I relax again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice I'm slow and fast. 9, 10. If you can get this down now, that'd be great. 11. This is what I fail most black belts on. 12 is their ability to change that speed and add that tension. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Take a breath in and out. All right, great job on that. So now what we're going to do is we're just gonna cool down a little bit and we're gonna start stretching. Before we do that though, I wanna quickly I wanna quickly cover what we went through today in class. So first thing we did is we transitioned between our 4 stances, which was our attention or chariot stance, to our Junbei or ready stance, to our fighting stance, to our sparring stance. After that, we went over a straight knee strike and a switch straight knee strike. Then we did balancing half front kicks. Then we did our full front kick. Then we did our half roundhouse kick. After that, we went to our blocks, and our blocks were our low blocks and our high blocks. So now we probably cooled down a little bit from those blocks, so we're gonna stretch just a little bit, but not too hard. Try to feel the stretch, but if at any point you feel pain, like actual pain, not discomfort, pain, you need to stop and back off. You should not feel pain while stretching. You should feel discomfort, right? I'm not gonna be comfortable when I'm pushing myself, but if I feel ripping or actual pain, stop, back up. Don't hurt yourself, it's not worth it, because then you're just gonna set yourself even further back. All right, so first thing we're gonna do, actually, let's go ahead and let's do this first and warm those hips joints back up a little bit. So my feet are kind of far apart, about double shoulder width, and I'm just bringing my weight from one side to the other, just like this. Right. Nice and loose. You can put your hands on your knees if you'd like, so you're not actually using as much muscle or you're not having to. You can kind of press off of it. All right, let's go ahead and twist our hips. With these modified hip twists, point the inside of your foot, point the inside of your other foot, toes point that way, both feet, toes point that way, both feet. Notice my belt is swinging from side to side. This is a good one to warm up those hips. All right, now we're gonna go ahead. We're going to try to keep the ball of your foot close to the ground, but you can raise it up. I just don't want it all the way pointed to the sky. Try to keep it a little bit more close to the ground. And we're going to bend here. And then once you're feeling it, it's gonna feel kind of on the back of your leg, kind of on the middle of your leg, right? So I want you to go right there. I want you to try to hold this position here. Feel that stretch in there. Switch to that other side, same thing. And now when I'm doing this, I'm also keeping one hand here and preventing this knee from coming inwards. I like to add a little bit of outward pressure on that back knee to get a little bit more stretch on the inside of the hip on those adductors. And if I ever say a word and you don't know what that word means, like adductors, I try to explain it. I know I explained it in the last class, but maybe you forgot since then or whatever. Go ahead and type a comment down below to remind me to use the terminology that people understand, or at least explain it after I say them. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and rotate down, drop that back knee down, push your hips forward towards that front heel. Right? I want you feeling it on your hip flexors. Your hip flexors, again, are the muscles that raise your leg up straight when your hips and shoulders are squared. All right, now let's go ahead and go to the other side. Drop that knee down. You can put your hand on the ground for balance if you'd like. You can put your hand here and lean back for a little bit more of a stretch. It's up to you. Now when you're doing this, I want you to try to squeeze your glutes, right, your butt cheek on the same side of the leg that's being stretched. When you do that, when you squeeze a muscle on one side of the body, it automatically sends a neurotransmitter to the other side of your body, telling it to relax, which allows for it to stretch. It's called, what is it called? Neural inhibition? I forgot. I forgot what the terminology was for it. But either way, it's just like whenever I flex my bicep, my tricep extends and it relaxes, and it's hard to kind of flex both of them at the same time. They kind of fight. but automatically every time I flex my bicep, my tricep, if I'm not thinking about it, will loosen up. And that's your body's way to not rip itself apart, but it's a good way to help you get more of a stretch by flexing the opposite side of the body to help relax or send a signal to the side you're trying to stretch. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, everyone's favorite, we're gonna do the splits. I want you to try to point your toes slightly upwards as you go down into the splits, right? Go down as far as you can, relax. If you can't go down this far, that's fine. I don't quite expect you to. Go what you can. If you need to give it a little bit of bouncing to make it a little more comfortable, that's fine. Go as far as you can. Try not to sit down though. We're gonna sit down in just a second, but keep your body up for now. Okay, so now what I want you to do is you're going to come up, one hand in the center, one hand on the outside. Now look at my back leg. Notice how my toes are sideways, and then my front leg, my toes are pointed straight up to the sky, and then I'm gonna slide down into that stretch. So this is a really good one for getting high roundhouse kicks and for getting high side kicks, right? Because I can imagine that this is my base leg, the foot with the toes pointed up, and then this would be my kicking leg, and my body would actually be more like this because I'd be facing that side as I'm kicking that way. But for now, this is a little bit easier to get this stretch in. And come up, and do the same thing onto the other side. All right, so one side, other side, and then stretch down. Oh man, this used to be my good side. I haven't stretched as much as I used to. I need to get more splits back. It's all right. Hopefully by the end of this course, I'll have done the splits so many more times that I'll have it back again. Not super far, but not as close as I used to be. And back to the front. Come up, sit down, right? Now, when you sit down, your legs are gonna wanna come in. Try to prevent that from happening. My legs came in just a little bit. If that does happen, go ahead and raise up, split a little bit more, and then sit back down. From here, I want you to walk your hands to the front. And I want you to try to get your chest close to the ground. If you get comfortable, you can put your hands here, just kind of relax. If you need to, pull yourself. When I was a kid and I was first learning to do the splits, I would put bricks. I think I used like a table, like my desk or something, and I'd put bricks on the other side, and I would use that to help prevent them from coming in. And I would sit here and I would watch TV, I would do homework, ate a bowl of cereal, whatever it is, I would go into this position here, and it would just give me more time stretching. And that's how you get more flexible, you just spend more time stretching. That's really what it comes down to. From here, we're gonna put our hands forward, and we're going to walk them off to the side. Right. Some people like to go over. I think this is a good stretch, but for now, I want you to go from that front and then to the side. Walk our hands back to the front, and then let's walk our hands back to the other side. So I find when I start in the front and then I walk to the side, I get a little bit more stretch on the inside of the back leg, as opposed to if I come up and I lean over, right? I get more of a side stretch and then a little bit more hamstrings on the front leg, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'll choose to do it one way over the other. Up, and now we're going to swoop in. We are going to get that side stretch, and I'm going to go one side. I want to touch my toes nice and light, and then other side. If you can't touch your toes, that's fine. You don't have to actually touch your toes. It's just a little reference point. And the other side, where they at? There we go. And the other side. So this is more of a dynamic movement rather than a static movement, but that's all right. Remember, the static stretches are where you actually will gain the flexibility. Dynamic is just more of a warm-up stretch so that you can perform without injuring yourself. So bring your feet in now. We're gonna go to a butterfly. And butterfly for me is more of a kind of relaxing position right after I got done stretching. I flap the wings of the butterfly and I get a little bit more blood flowing back into my hips. From here, left hand in front of the face. Left foot plants onto the ground, right hand back, raise the hips up, raise that leg up, kick it behind you, stand up. Cherry up. So that's our attention stance. And bow, vignette. All right, great job on that class, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.